Hi, this is Key Insider, and I'm Teri. Today I've got kind of an interesting guest. He wrote a book, not just any book, a very special book. This book is about autism. According to the facts, it says 1% of all the children in the United States, age 3 to 17, have autism. 1 to 1.5 million Americans live with autism. It's the fastest growing disability in the United States, and $60 billion annual cost. That's pretty heady stuff. I'd like to introduce you to Mark Pulver. He wrote this book about autism, but what's special about you, Mark, is you live with autism.
Correct.
When were you first diagnosed?
2007.
Not that very long ago. When did you discover that things were a little out of sorts with you, that things were different?
Well, I've known that ever since I was small, and ever since I was first made aware that things were different with me when I was taken to the doctors at Johns Hopkins for testing that I needed extra help, and I went to special ed schools. But it was not then that I was diagnosed with autism. I just knew that I had a mental deficiency.
And what was toughest for you? Was it when you first went to school, or when it...
Well, being able to fit in the academic and the social environment with other kids, being able to fit in, that was one of the most toughest things for me. That was the first toughest things. And also being able to get with the curriculum and understanding the curriculum and the learning process of what the teachers were trying to teach in the schools. I did not fare very well in the public schools. I was in special ed programs most of my elementary school all the way through middle school.
Oh, so they put you in a special school. So you had a hard time grasping things. Did you find that you were mischievous? Did you get a little bored in classrooms sometimes?
I got bored. I acted erratically, sporadically, and I just did not feel it. I was poked fun. I was made fun of, teased, sent to the principal's office on a day-to-day basis, et cetera, et cetera.
Had to be very painful for you.
It was. Me and for my family. Very painful.
Of course. Do you have any siblings at all?
2 brothers.
Are they older or younger?
Older. They're both older. I'm the youngest.
So were they kind of protective of you, or their little brother?
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah, that's kind of comforting. Did they go to the same school as you?
No, they didn't.
But at the beginning, when you first went to school, and you didn't know, nobody knew quite what was going on, did you go to the same school as the brothers?
No, I didn't. We went to different schools.
All different schools, okay.
My 2 brothers did go to the same school, my 2 older brothers, but I did not go to the same schools, the same schools that they both did together.
Gotcha. What are your symptoms? Because I know nothing about autism, and it's a word I always read in the newspaper, and it seems like it gets thrown out. What do you, or is it different for everyone? I don't know.
Well, it isn't. And one thing is the same. It has to do with a mental deficiency, how a autistic person thinks, feels, goes about life, talks to others, deals with family, deals with the social environment, deals with the school and the work environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that we all have in common is in the brain area. But what's different is there's many different levels of autism, just like seizures, grandma seizures, minor seizures, but every case is different. There are no 2 cases alike. Some are more severe, and what symptoms may be for me may not be for some other persons that do have autism. Every case is different. With me, I find it very hard to function under pressure. That's one thing about what I've experienced. I don't do well under pressure.
And pressure, the way you perceive pressure,
right.
Someone else might say...
down my back. This is the way I learned through memorizing things. I have an excellent memory. This is the way I learn.
That's how you cope.
Yeah, with memory. Look at something a few times, 3 or 4 times, studying for a test or an exam.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather used to help me study with the exam, have me write things down. If I had to remember 20 things, I try to remember 3 or 4 at a time, once I get that memorized, I go on, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the way I learn.
I bet if your mom gave you a shopping list, you'd memorize the whole thing.
Perhaps.
How were you with numbers? Were you good at adding, subtracting, or was that a little difficult for you?
I was fair when it came to addition, subtracting, multiplication, and division, and just a little bit of algebra I'm able to grasp, but the complicated math, trigonometry, geometry, is way over my head.
Was it hard for you to get around, say when you were a teenager and wanted to take a bus somewhere to get around? Were you able to do that?
Yes, I was. I followed about either by bike or by bus. When I was 13, I started taking buses, but not far, just to different places. So I didn't have to depend on my mother to go places. I tried. I wanted to be. I was striving for that independence. Really striving, but found myself frustrated because I wasn't quite like others. I wasn't up to speed as far as my peers was, and being able to fit in better with others.
Did you have a best friend in school? Or a buddy?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, he's no longer on this earth due to certain circumstances, but I did have a best buddy that I knew since we were like 10, 11, or 12 years old.
That's always important.
Yeah, we went to private school together back in the 70s.
And where did you grow up?
Right here in South Florida.
All right, okay. And then now you live on Key Biscayne.
Yes, that's right.
And how did you discover Key Biscayne?
Actually, my father discovered it. One of my older brothers suggested that they found a nice place that my father would like, so they checked it out. They liked it. And guess what? Bada bing, bada boom, we're here.
Aren't we lucky? We're so lucky. I'm a little curious. You mentioned that it was just relatively recently that you were diagnosed. How did that come about? Did you find a special doctor, or did the doctor you have all of a sudden?
I was tested for insurance purposes. Call it what it may be, serendipity, but I was diagnosed with autism. It was a bit of a shock
I'm sure.
at first. So I was sitting in my doctor's office, and I noticed a book on Temple Grandin. I saw the book. It looked interesting. Wow. She's got autism, but she has a PhD. I just had to read it. So I read it and became instantly inspired, and that's what kick-started me and motivated me into writing my own memoir of my life. So I approached my cousin, the guy that you said there, Robert Shestak, and told him about my idea, and he says, I'll help you under one condition. You write the book. I'm not going to do it for you. No problem. So after I banged out about 16 chapters, he said he nearly fell back in his chair.
and this is the book. Now, did you start thinking about writing a book after you were diagnosed, or is this something that gradually came about?
After I saw Temple Grandin's book, I just got an itch to do that. I wanted to do something, and that itch was I was going to write a book. I didn't think, well, maybe I'll write a book, maybe I won't. I'm going to write a book. My mother will tell you, when I want to do something, I'm going to do it. There's no stopping me.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah, full steam ahead, yeah.
But I think that's a wonderful thing, because you're sharing, because according to the statistics back here, if 1% of the population of the children have autism, and those are the ones that are now diagnosed, that's a pretty scary figure. So maybe you can give some insight to people that how you felt and how we can have a little more compassion for people.
I can, but you know what? It's not a dead end, and I put that in my book. It's just a roadblock. You can achieve anything you want to do, but you just have to have that burning desire within yourself to want to do it. Like my mother had it in her to want to show me, she had that earning desire to take. When one physician said that they couldn't, my mother said, no, well, I'm going to, I'm going to find somebody that will. We don't give up.
You've got good tenacity from your mom. That's super.
Right, I do. So I just decided I didn't want to be stagnant. I didn't want to be in a little shell. I wanted to spread my wings, so to speak. I wanted to get out. I wanted to learn. It was hard. It wasn't easy. My road to hope was very, very difficult to achieve. But you know what? It all paid off.
It did. And of course you had the two older brothers too. That now what grade did you go through schooling? Did you finish high school?
Yes, I did. I got a regular high school diploma. I took a couple special ed classes, but instead of getting a certificate, because normally if you're in special ed, I took a few regulars and a few special ed courses, but you need to take enough regular classes to meet the requirements. Well, I didn't take enough regular classes to meet the requirements, so I took a special test and studied for it so I could actually get my high school diploma. I was going to be like everybody else. I wasn't going to be denied my high school diploma. It was very important to me, and I knew it was. So I just decided I was going to get it, and I would stop at nothing till I got my high school diploma.
Well, that's very admirable. Do you remember what was your toughest class that you had to take? Were the languages tough, like English and grammar, things like that?
Biology was the first toughest class that I took it.
Yeah.
When I told the teacher, "This is tough for me, I need you to explain it." Teacher just looked at me and says, "I already did. It's on the board. Write it down."
Ooh. And that's what we need people to understand, that everybody learns a little bit differently, and what fits for one doesn't fit for everyone.
But you know what? I found a way around it.
Yeah.
I have my high school diploma hanging up, a plaque hanging up on my wall.
Well, that's a very proud achievement.
I could have went into a corner when that teacher said to me, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to help you," but I didn't. I took a whole new, different approach. Some other kids with autism, that might have ruined their life, but you know what?
Could have.
It didn't ruin my life.
Do you think that's the biggest challenge for young people with autism, or anyone with autism, is to get this rejection, or you can do it, just do it, where it's a mountain for you?
Well, I would think not just for autistic people, but anybody would not like rejection of any kind. I don't really care if you're disabled or not. Nobody really likes rejection.
Oh, that's true. None of us like that one.
That's my opinion.
Or to be told to go figure it out ourselves, you want to scream after a while. So, but what, in your life, what was your biggest challenge? What did you find growing up that was the toughest thing for you to do?
Trying to relate to my family and friends, being that I had, autism, and just trying to find a way where I could actually learn to do to learn. I had to find a different way from learning, because I was not quick to just, okay, when somebody says something, read it one time. And then some people are like a sponge. They can read something, and understand it. They don't have to keep going back. But I have to read something maybe 3 or 4 times, but a little at a time, because there's just so much that you can put in your memory bank at one time.
True.
before you crash.
That's true. Like
So
filling a
that's
bottle. You can't fill it. You have to just do it very slowly, and it'll
Right,
fill up.
like one of my first achievements is when I've studied for my restrictor's license test. I failed the first time, so my grandfather sat down with me.
Yeah.
He made me write every question that he could think of, and there were like maybe 100 different questions, and I memorized all of them. And the second time around, I got my restricted driver's license.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. So you're able to drive. And how old were you when you got this driver's license?
17.
Oh, that's very impressive. So you have no problem. Now, do you have a career, or what do you do in life? Do you work?
Well, right now, I'm in between jobs. I had a Burger King restaurant with a partner. We had a franchise together.
That's wonderful.
We sold that. I had a job for 2 years. Now I'm taking some time off so I can promote this book of mine and just get it out in the open, and to let people know, hey, I'm here, I want to help.
Absolutely. But you're a businessman. I mean, you ran a business, you had a partner, but you ran a business. I mean, that takes a lot of fortitude and a lot of energy to do something like that.
You're right.
You must be a very smart fellow.
Well, I try.
Yeah, you try. Is there anything that you would like to say to either the parents or someone who has a disorder and they don't know what it is, it hasn't been diagnosed yet, and they're frustrated? What advice would you give them?
I would tell them, hey, don't give up hope. There's people out there. There's books out there. There's people out there who've achieved goals, who've overcame the most difficult task that there is. Don't give up on them. You can find a way. You just have to instill that yearning, that burning desire, so they'll want to succeed their goals. They'll want to expand their goals and live out and have high hopes and aspirations in life. They want to go forward. They want to instill the values that a can-do attitude, a positive attitude, saying that they can do it. It just takes time, and find a different way. There's no such thing as you can't do it. If you want to do it, you can. Same with people without disabilities. Things don't happen without working towards them. Anything you want to do, you have to put work and energy to them.
No question. We used to always say the sun shines for everyone.
Right. That's my words of wisdom, that I have for you.
I think that's beautiful, beautiful words. I wanted to go back and ask you, the doctors, did they give a diagnosis of something? Did they give you, your parents, what they thought was at issue?
It was just diagnosed as brain damage.
Oh, it was brain damage. Okay,
Yeah.
because I saw on the book that you were what they call a blue baby, and a blue baby is, I guess, a baby who's born is not breathing right away.
Right, deprived of oxygen.
Did that have anything to do with it? Or
Yeah,
is that something totally separate?
I went to different doctors after these doctors at Johns Hopkins, supposed to be the best doctors in the world, and went to the Institute of Human Potential in Philadelphia.
Right.
What they did was they implemented a program to do exercises to generate all blood cells that had died, to generate new blood cells to get the oxygen going to my brain. And that's what helped me a lot. I did a battery of exercises every day from like 8 o'clock in the morning, go to school, come home, eat, and then do more exercises. I was on a 3-year hiatus with this program that I did, like creeping and crawling, breathing through a mask for a minute, having a light shine in my eyes, ear exercises. No,
Now,
nothing.
I don't know if this is technical or not, but do you feel that being that you were a blue baby, is that what caused the autism? Or can people get autism just the luck of the draw? It's just something that you're born with?
Well, I think it can be a number of things. Some doctors will diagnose it as a small child, and other people are different. There's nobody the same, and others will learn even in their 40s that they have autism. Like I learned in my late 40s that I was discovered with autism, but I decided to do something positive with it instead of doing something negative.
Was that a shock to you when you got diagnosed, or was it a relief?
No, it was a shock at first, but when I saw Temple Grandin's book, it says, hey, how bad can this be?
Yeah.
She's a PhD. Look
Right.
at what she did with my life. Now it's my turn to do something. And I did.
Absolutely. Well, I think sometimes when things are taken away, something else increases. Like you say, you have a wonderful memory.
Yes.
So maybe other things you can't do, but you have wonderful abilities on the other
Right.
side.
And hopefully I can even learn more, to do more just as good as anybody else or something. I mean, in some autistic children and adults are gifted. They can do certain things that normal people can't do.
Absolutely.
So,
No, absolutely. Well,
I think this is a blessing,
It is, and
because
it-
look, this gave me something to write about.
And it's nice, too, that you're sharing. I like the cover of the book. You have it like a puzzle. Life is kind of a puzzle sometimes, so I guess that was the last piece that fit into your puzzle. Now you understand it, and you're sharing with all of us. I want to thank you very much for stopping by and explaining things. Where can the people buy the book if they want to get it?
They can buy it on my website,
Oh, okay.
Barnes and Noble. It's also on the e-reader and the paperback and
Okay.
e-reader at Barnes and Noble and my website.
Okay, that'll be wonderful.
And also Amazon.com also.
Very good. You've got a lot of exposure there. This is Mark Pulver. It's an exciting read. I think it'll be very beneficial to parents that have children that are having problems. Maybe it'd be something to read just to understand, to get a grasp of things. This is the Key Insider. Thank you for watching. I'm Teri.